This is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at the Yakima SkyLine Roof Rack, and we're going to see how it works with our 2025 Chevy Trailblazer. Now, when you're heading out on your next adventure, you may find yourself in the position of having either too many things coming with you to fit inside the vehicle, or you may be bringing some things that you just don't want in the vehicle with you. And a roof rack is an excellent way to transport those items. There are all kinds of accessories that you can use up here in order to help make that journey easier and make sure that you bring with you everything that you need. So the Yakima SkyLine is an Aero style crossbar, meaning it's got an ovular shape. That's really going to help with wind resistance. They won't vibrate nearly as much, which is going to make them a lot quieter than your more traditional round or square shaped bars. It can be used with clamp mounted accessories, or it's got a T-track at the top with a weather strip that you can access through your end cap. And you could just simply push down on it and slide your T-track accessories across and get them loaded up. And the kind of accessories that you can put up here are going to be like your rooftop cargo boxes and roof baskets, a bike carrier, a kayak carrier, a ski and snowboard carrier. The Yakima SkyLine Roof Rack is going to offer you a weight capacity of 165 pounds. However, it's really, really important that you double check the owner's manual of your Trailblazer and see what the rooftop capacity for the vehicle is. Whichever number is lower, that's the number that's going to be your max capacity. The other great thing about Yakima is that Yakima has what they call their SKS, or same key system. What that means is, with all of your towers, there's a plastic lock core on here that you can really just get in and out of using a flathead screwdriver, but you do have the opportunity to purchase separately key cores and matching keys for each of your towers, and they can be keyed alike to your other Yakima accessories, like maybe you have a bike rack or a rooftop cargo box. That way you can keep all the clutter off of your key ring and pretty much have one key to work with all of your different Yakima accessories. This vehicle today, this Trailblazer, has flush rails with fixed mounting points, which means there are specific locations that we need to mount these crossbars. And the fit kit for these is going to be vehicle specific. So make sure that you use our fit guide, get the year, make, and model, make sure you select whether it has flush rails or no rails, and use that in order to make sure that you get the right kit. So we have our fixed mounting points here and here on both the driver and the passenger side. And really, one of the things about that is that it doesn't really give us any freedom to make our crossbar spread wider or narrower, or to move the crossbar set forward or back. They're pretty much going to be in this position all the time. So it's really important to understand what your crossbar spread is. That's going to be the distance between the two bars. So we're going to measure from the center of the back to the center of the front, and that puts us right at 27 3/4 inches. And that actually is a pretty good spread if you ask me. Every rooftop accessory has a minimum and a maximum crossbar spread. 28 inches falls right in generally to every crossbar accessory that I've come across myself. So this spread should be good for just about anything you want to put up here, as long as it's under that weight limit. The other thing we want to check out is how much more height does this add to the vehicle. One of the things about the Yakima Roof Rack is that the towers are really tall. So it is going to add quite a bit of height to the vehicle. This is going to add an extra 6.5 inches to it. So if you know your vehicle height and your accessory height, add that 6.5 inches and you'll get your overall vehicle height in case you're going through some areas with lower clearance. The other thing we're going to check out is just how much room we have between the roof and the bottom of the bar. And at that, we're sitting at 5 1/4 inches. More than enough room to get those clamp mounted accessories around here and get them secured up on the roof. Now, installation, as I mentioned, is in fixed points, but we're going to walk you through how to get these up on your Trailblazer right now. The first step of our installation is to remove these plugs that are located along the inside of our rails. These are our fixed mounting points. This is where we're going to be putting in our brackets to hold on our roof rack towers. So we're down to this last one here. Now, on the Chevys, on these flush rails, these plugs can be a little bit tricky. So you see a little slot in there that would indicate it would just unscrew with a flathead. It's not entirely true. It kind of partially loosens it up so you can get something flat underneath it and pry it out. So what I found kind of the best method to get these out if you don't want to hurt any of them and be able to reuse them. Now, most people, when they put a roof rack up on their roof, it's not going anywhere. Once it's up there, and the plugs aren't necessary. But in case you wanted to be able to reuse the plugs, like we will be today, there's a pretty safe way to get these out that I've found. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my flathead, and I'm just going to loosen it a little bit. Now what this does when you loosen it a little bit is it gives you a little clearance around these edges away from the rail, so you can get some kind of flat pry tool in there. So what I have today is a trim tool. This is something that can be found in any hardware store or auto parts store, relatively inexpensive as well. But I have done this before where I've used a thin spackler, just something thin that you can get underneath there and kind of help get some separation. So as I get this flat edge underneath the lip of the plug, I'm going to go ahead and take my flathead and just slowly rotate it around. And this is going to help me get separation on all four sides of it. Okay. And once I've got some decent separation there, I'm going to take a prong pry tool, make sure that I get it under there really good. And I'm just going to slowly work it out, just like that. Now it's important to note that you do want to make sure that you really get it all the way under here. It's happened to me before where one side got under and the other didn't. This top here is really, really flimsy, and it can snap in half, just making it more difficult for you to get it out. But if you work it like this and pull it out, you should be able to get it out undamaged. What we're going to end up grabbing is one of our brackets, the rubber pad for that bracket, our included hex tool, and two of our bolts with the washers. And what we're going to end up doing first is attaching our rubber pad onto the bottom of our bracket here. Now you'll see that there are a round tab on each end and a square tab in the center. I find the easiest way to do this is to line up the round tabs. They're very tight fitting. The square tabs aren't as tight fitting, and they tend to fall into place as long as you have your circular ones lined up. Now again, I had mentioned that it's a pretty snug fit. Often what will happen is you'll get one going in pretty good because this is so flexible. It's kind of hard to line up the other hole and get it in there really good. But if you do have trouble with it, what I would recommend that you do, a little trick I learned myself, is take your L tool, put it right down in there, try to use that to help kind of guide it in. And if that doesn't work, a bit of soapy water can help lubricate that too and get it in there. So with that rubber pad in place, that's going to be sitting right on top of our rail. We're going to be putting our bracket on over these bolt holes just like this. Now the brackets are side specific, and if you're confused about which bracket goes on the driver, which on the passenger side, when you line these up, you want this slotted bolt hole to be facing the rear of the vehicle. So we're going to line it up. It's going to go through this hole at the end here and the slotted bolt hole. We're not going to be using this one that's on the inside that's a little bit higher up. So we're going to get it into position here. I'm going to just pop a bolt and washer through there. And my advice would be this circular one toward the front. I would get that bolt seated first. Thread it in a little bit. I want to leave it a little bit maneuverable for when I get this one in. The slotted bolt hole can be a little more difficult to line it up. So by only partially threading that in, I'm able to separate it from the rail and see behind it to get my second bolt lined up. And once I have that started, I'm going to go ahead and take the provided hex tool and get it tightened down the rest of the way. With that tightened down, the last thing that we're going to want to do is remove this cap from the top of it. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to mount our crossbars. Now, the cool thing about this cap is that the purpose of it is that these crossbars, as you'll see in a moment, are actually really easy to take on and off of these brackets. And if you're going to run your Trailblazer through like an automatic car wash, a high-powered car wash, you really don't want your crossbars up here while you do that. They can definitely take some damage with those kind of high speeds that go on in there. So the purpose of this is to be able to remove your crossbars very simply, place this cap on the top, and now you won't get any road noise or whistling going across that if it's open. It's also going to keep out any debris or anything like that, just making your next install that much easier. But for now, we're not going to need it. We're going to take it out, and we're going to set it someplace safe, and we're going to prepare our crossbar. Crossbar installation is very, very simple. What you're going to end up doing first, though, is your towers, you want to make sure that this metal T-block is what we have installed on it. There's an exposed bolt coming through the bottom of here, and you can fasten it using the Yakima tool through this hole underneath. That's how you'll fasten the block to it, but don't tighten it all the way down. We want to leave it a little bit loose because we need to get this block going underneath this T-slot on the crossbar here, and if it's too tight, it just won't fit on. So I'm going to start by removing my end cap here, making sure that the outside of the tower faces the outside of the bar, and I'm just going to line up my block and slide it on across just like so. After that, I'm going to replace my end cap, and we're ready to get it up on top of the vehicle. Before getting it up on the roof, these tabs are what's going to hold it onto our brackets. In order to retract those tabs, you just need to open the cover up, and those will slide in just like so. And when you're placing it up on the roof, this is an Aero style bar. We want to make sure that the wider end of the bar is facing the front of the vehicle, and the narrower end of the bar is facing the back of the vehicle. And once we have that all lined up, we're just going to go ahead. Now, if you have another person with you to kind of guide in the other side, that's fantastic. Not completely necessary. It's not that heavy of a piece. So I'm just going to drop it right in where it should go, which is going to be right in between these slots right here. And I'm going to get that done on each side. Now that we've got it seated in its position, go ahead and grab your measuring tape, and we want to make sure that there's an equal amount of overhang on either side of the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and take a measurement, just like so. And I'm going to go over to the other side, get that same measurement. I'm just going to work my way back and forth until it's even. Now, once we do have it even, you're going to want to either remember what this measurement is, or you could do another trick, which is just take a piece of painter's tape or masking tape, put it kind of snug on either side of the tower where it ends up. That way when you take the bar back off, it doesn't slip. Or you can use the scale that's located underneath the crossbar. However, that's really, really difficult to read while it's on here, so that's probably not the best way to do it. The way that I'm going to do it today is I'm going to measure each side. I'm going to memorize what that measurement is. I'm going to use it again on the table when we tighten the bar down to our towers. I'm going to take the provided Yakima tool, and through this bolt hole right here, which is the one that we use to secure that metal T-block, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that down completely onto the bar until I hear that pop. Once I hear that pop, I know it's tightened down to the right torque spec, and it's not going to really slide back and forth on me at all. It's going to be really tight on here. I'm going to do the same thing over here after I replicate that measurement, then we'll get it back up onto our roof. Got everything tightened down. It still lines up well with our brackets. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and close our tower cover. That's going to extend those pistons out and lock our crossbar in place. I'm going to give it a little bit of a shake everywhere, make sure everything's solid, everything's looking good, feeling good, and that's essentially going to complete our installation. Now we're ready to get it loaded up and head out on our adventure. And that's really it for the installation. Pretty simple, straightforward process. It does help to have somebody else there with you just to make sure things line up right, but nowhere near impossible to do it yourself using the tools that they provide for you. Now, a couple things about it, since it's up here and we're taking a look at it. One of the things that you may have noticed is this is an overhang style. What that actually means is that the crossbar goes beyond our tower here. A flush mounted style where it ends at the inside of the tower really forces you to have to put all of your accessories toward the middle. And aesthetically, while it might be more pleasing to others, I actually find it a little bit less useful. Having an overhang style gives you the opportunity, because you've got so much more bar space to work with, and these are 50-inch bars, giving us a lot of room. We have the opportunity to mount accessories up top side by side because we can use this overhang for our T-track or for our clamp-mounted accessory. So as long as you're under the limit, you could do it to where you have a rooftop box over there, and maybe you have a bike rack over here, or a kayak carrier or something like that. As long as you're under the weight limit, this does give you more opportunity to put more accessories up here. The other thing about an overhang is that people get concerned with head clearance when they're getting in and out of the vehicle. But from here, this is just barely outside the door threshold up here by my head, and it's well inside the door threshold at my feet. And because people don't generally get out and just go straight up like this and bang their shoulder or something, I'm not worried about that hitting my head at all, even though it does look like it overhangs by quite a bit. But all in all, I think this is an excellent choice for you and your Trailblazer. And if after watching this video you agree and you get one and you get it installed and have the opportunity to use it a little bit, we'd love to hear what you think about it in the comments below. Sharing your experience with other neighbors just like you can help them make the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.